Hey everybody, it's Katie with Picture Perfect. I just got back from spending a couple of days in Georgia, where I'm originally from, visiting my parents, and it made me think about how a lot of people in our state, Virginia, are interested in what the difference exactly is between cool season and warm season turf. So I'm going to break that down for you in just a second. So I moved to Virginia from Georgia a couple of years ago, and the first thing that struck me when I moved up in the winter was how green everybody's lawn still was. In Georgia, because it's one of those southern states, the lawns that we have there are warm season turf grasses. Mine was zoysia growing up, but most of our neighbors had Bermuda, and some people have centipede, some people have St. Augustine. It just kind of depends on your preference. But all of these grasses, for the most part, go dormant completely during the winter, which means that they turn a really light brown and almost kind of look like straw. Fescue, which is the cool season turf in Virginia, is green year-round, unless it's under stress and something goes wrong, and then it might lose a little bit of its color, but it doesn't go into the same kind of dormancy that warm season turfs do. As a result, it can be the middle of December and a lawn is bright green, where in Georgia nobody's got a green lawn unless they overseeded with something like an annual ryegrass. So why do some people have certain types of grass in their lawn? Outside of personal preference, it's largely in part to the kind of climate that their property is in. So let's kind of look at this eastern half of the country having basically three zones. We've got the southern zone, states like South Carolina and down, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Florida especially, where the summers are really, really hot. Oftentimes there are droughts, and the winters are relatively mild. They usually range from maybe cold temperatures November through March, and then things get warm very quickly and stay warm for a while. On the flip side, we've got that northern zone where from about Delaware up, we're looking at really cold winters, prolonged cold winters, mild and brief summers the further north that you go. And then we've got this zone in the middle, and Virginia is in the middle of that middle. And as a result, we get this really weird mix of the extremes from both the southern climate as well as the northern climate. This can make it complicated for selecting a turf. So we see a pretty interesting mix of warm season grasses like zoysia and Bermuda that we see in Georgia, Florida, those areas, as well as cool season grasses like fescue. In RVA, the Richmond part of Virginia, most people are going with a cool season fescue lawn. This is because in RVA, a warm season lawn is probably going to be dormant from about October through April. That's more than half of the year. That's about 7 months. As a result, most people don't really want a lawn that's going to be brown for half of the year. You want your lawn to be green. So 90 to 95% of people prefer that cool season fescue turf that's going to stay green year round. Now, here's the catch. Because we're in a transition zone, we also get really hot and sometimes dry, just not last year, summers where fescue gets really stressed. Once it gets above 80-85 degrees, that's a great temperature for warm season grass, but fescue gets unhappy. The best thing that you can do for a cool season turf in a transition zone is to make sure that it is properly watered and fertilized. That's going to be key to making sure that it stays happy during the summer. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people who have success with a warm season lawn in Virginia, even though we're getting into those cold winters. The biggest things if you're considering a warm season lawn in a transition state is to make sure that you don't have much shade in your property. That's just going to be one more factor that kind of limits and thins out your warm season turf. And be sure that you understand not only how it needs to be fertilized, but what that upfront cost is going to be. Warm season turf, unlike cool season like fescue, is able to spread laterally and fill in its own holes, which is great because you don't have to overseed it every year the same way that you do with something like fescue. The downside is it has a higher upfront cost because most people choose to install it through sod or plugs instead of possibly starting out with seed in the first place. Now, you heard me mention that Bermuda is a warm season turf. A lot of people in our area in this part of Virginia actually consider Bermuda a weed because it's something that they don't want mixed in with their fescue. Common Bermuda, which is kind of that weed variety, is less domesticated than what we see down south as being the manicured lawn of choice. Definitely can be a weed because it doesn't look good, especially in the winter mixed in with that fescue. It breaks up the uniformity, and in a bad extreme summer can actually compete with your fescue. To learn more about Bermuda in a fescue lawn, be sure to check out this video up here. It's something that is possibly treatable depending on exactly how it's presenting in your lawn and what your priorities are. Some people don't want to see even a speck of it, and some people don't mind because at least it's grass. It just depends on what your priority is for your lawn. So tell me, what kind of grass do you have in your lawn and where are you from? There are so many different types of grass that a lot of people don't know about because they only really see what's in their area. So comment below, let me know what you're growing, what your favorite kind is. I'm into fescue, that's what we specialize in and what we focus on, but zoysia is still my favorite grass because that is my childhood barefoot grass completely. So let me know what you're growing below. I want to hear from you, and I really appreciate the time that you took to explore transition zone grasses.